seeing the downfall of Blake Lively before our very eyes.
So this week, Blake Lively and her companies are under a lot of controversy because she decided to exploit domestic violence victims to promote her brands. And now the whole internet is doing a lot of deep dives to expose her past. And I want to talk about it today because I'm not sure why we're shocked that the woman who had a plantation wedding has had repeated rumored drama on all the sets she works on, gave Harvey Weinstein a pretty glowing review during his downfall, and much more we'll cover is surprisingly not that great of a person. Like, come on, Blake Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds have always given like high school quarterback and head cheerleader who peaked in high school that were always like passive aggressively mean to you, but like had this nice branding person, like, oh, she's so nice, but she's not. Like, she'll just turn a corner and be so rude behind closed doors. And just like those two kids from your high school that eventually got married, never moved out, and never had to develop as people, they are so out of touch and they just don't care. There's a reason that a lot of times the characters she plays are just pretty rich, out of touch, socialite blonde women. It's because she also is not that great at, like, that's just who she is. She even admitted in an interview I found that she like can't form to roles, she has to form roles around her. Like, Miss Girl, that is not acting, that's just being yourself repeatedly. But for starters, yes, there's always been a lot of drama on sets that revolve around her throughout the years, starting with her co-star in Gossip Girl, Leighton Meester, who everyone always said that Leighton Meester was like the nicest person you've ever met. It's very much so noted that these two, despite playing best friends on TV and spending so many of their formative years together very closely, were not friends in real life. And they themselves never came out to make a comment on all the controversy. They just had like other people that were more PR trained be like, oh, they were just different people. But there were other people on that set that alleged that she was the largest diva on set and she didn't get along with a lot of people. If you go look, you'll see that a lot of her co-stars are still following each other and friends to this day, but they're not following Blake and she's not following them. And there's a controversy where she poked fun at Kate Middleton before realizing Kate Middleton had been battling cancer. Of course, she started her apology by saying, I'm sure no one cares today, but I feel like I have to acknowledge this. I made a silly, like the gaslighting in this apology was wild. And let's not forget that Blake Lively met her now husband Ryan Reynolds when he was still married to Scarlett Johansson. And they swear they were just friends until he got divorced, but Scarlett Johansson has had some interesting things to say about the situation over the years. Indirectly, of course, but over the years, some people said they reported seeing Blake and Ryan having dinner, and if you didn't know better, you would think they were on a date. It was very flirty and date-like, essentially. In which, of course, we get to their actual wedding, in which, again, in tone-deaf style, they hosted on a plantation. I don't think I have to explain at this point in society why a plantation wedding is super inappropriate, but they released, like, a meh apology for it. But then proceeded to rebrand all of her brands and whatnot into, like, this Western and antebellum whatnot theme, and even did a whole Vogue photo shoot, as you can see here. It doesn't look like they were that sorry about it. And also, what is this photo right here? The tone is completely deaf. Directly following this, of course, the Me Too movement, when Harvey Weinstein went down and they got a quote from Blake Lively, somewhat vouching for Harvey Weinstein, saying she never experienced any of that behavior, and added a weirdly backhanded comment saying, I do believe in humanity enough to think that this wouldn't have just continued if they had heard the stories. Like, what, are you implying that these women should have spoke up sooner? Like, the victim, I mean, I don't know. Like, at this point, just say no comment. What was that? And of course, by now, everyone's seen the interviews that the previous creator showed. This woman titled The Interview That Made Me Want to Quit My Job, in which Blake Lively and her co-star here are just like straight up mean girl bullying this interviewer. Which brings us to all the drama specifically surrounding this movie and this video that's going viral, in which, of course, the movie is bringing to light a lot of issues around DV, right, domestic violence, harm, women's issues. The interviewer, of course, asks Blake how she would respond if a fan came up and tried to, like, share her story with Blake because she was touched by the film. And Blake gives, like, the rudest, most disgusting answer possible. Essentially, like, sarcastically being like, oh, I'd totally blow them off. Like, oh, do you want my address? Do you want my phone number too? Like, you're not entitled to discussing things with me. As if she has never had a day of media training in her entire career. And the weirdest thing about her specific promotion of this film, again, which is emphasizing like really heavy topics, is that no one would know what it's about from the way she's promoting it. She's promoting it as like this chick flick, fun, girly energy, like wear your florals, bring your girlfriends. And she's using her own company's Betty Blooms, I believe it's called, her drink company, to promote the film. And you can see she's bringing her floral theme into the new hair care line she just launched as well to tie into the hype of the film. Which, like, know the time and the place, girly, but also, like, apparently this brand itself is tanking and getting, like, tons of returns to the stores as well. Allegedly, the product itself is just garbage. And you'll see that nowhere in her social media up until all this controversy came out was she at all addressing the theme themes of this movie and advocating for help and doing what this movie was intended to be doing. Which, if you ask me, is where I think the riff and the drama between her and Justin Baldoni started. He is the director and her co-star in the film, and the message of this film is really a big part of his brand and personal mission. And people have started to notice that, like, they don't follow each other. Like, the cast seemed divided at the red carpets. As you can see, unlike Blake Lively, even in his bio, he has a link where, like, women and victims can go get help. He has a history of standing up and asking men the difficult questions, especially during the Me Too movement. He did a whole TED Talk, again, going against Harvey Weinstein, the man that Blake had a good experience with. He is sharing posts and interviews in which he is discussing the issues that the film addresses. He has podcasts in which he encourages men to go to therapy, look into their emotions. He's written books on these things. The messages in this movie are clearly things that are very personal and important to him. And you can see that he's putting that in the forefront here. Unlike Blake Lively, who's using it to promote her hair care or her husband's movie Deadpool. There's even rumors that Ryan Reynolds tried to step in and like steal the spotlight more on this film. And there's so many rumors about the feud and that it's like she wanted to direct more, they wanted to do. I think at the end of the day, she wanted to hijack this movie and is actively trying to promote her and her brands. And Justin Baldoni isn't having that. And so she does what all mean girls would do in that situation, and she iced him out of the group. And like these girls always did in high school, she's trying to turn public opinion on him and make everyone be on her side so bad that he's had to hire an entire like high-profile PR team now. And in all of the interviews, he still had like nothing but generally nice things to say about her.